everybody. It's time for the Pedego Podcast, exploring the e-bike revolution. Join us each week as we talk with the entrepreneurs behind this movement and the love stories of those just riding along. Brought to you by Pedego Electric Bikes. So here we are with another amazing journey of becoming an e-bike dealer and joining the e-bike revolution. Today we're privileged to have with us Brenda, David, and his father, Erwin Bondareff. Did I say that correctly, guys? Everybody's nodding. Yeah. All right, yeah. Bondareff. So let's start with the dad. We always got to honor the father first here. Erwin Bondareff, you're the one that started this whole craziness. I'm told that you were a bike rider who kept riding by an electric bike store until one day you ventured in and said, hey, you know, this might not be such a bad idea because I'm over a certain age. It's getting a little harder and harder to ride the bike and push the pedal. Talk about that journey. What led you into the door of a Pedego Electric Bike store, and what did you see when you walked in, Erwin?
Well, as I rode by frequently, I was attracted to the bikes that he had outside. But I was intimidated by the fact that it had a motor and also that it had a little computer on the handlebars. Mm-hmm. And being of a certain age, as you mentioned, over 90, I hesitated to go in, but I finally did. And I met Todd, who was the owner of the store. And he assured me that he could teach me everything I needed to know in about 5 minutes. And if I took a test ride around a block, several blocks, that I would see that it was very doable for me. And so that's what I did. And he was very personable. He had me sit on a few bikes, asked me what I was interested in. I was interested in something with a low step through because I wanted to be able to get off the bike without having to use one leg very high.
Right.
And so he got me on a bike. I rode it around the street, 4 blocks. It so happens where he's situated, you could go up a hill, go to a flat area, and then down a hill, and then back to a level place. I did it 4 times. I was having so much fun. And when I went back, I bought the bike.
And this is in Alexandria, Virginia, I'm told, right?
Yes.
Which is a suburb of D.C. For those that don't know, everybody should know where Alexandria is. And this is where you had practiced pediatrics? Is that what you did? You were
Yes, for 56 years. I retired at age 89.
89? You retired at 80. You decided, well, maybe I should slow down at 89. Why are you... I don't want to offend you, sir, but at 89 to 90, I don't know that anybody's thinking of riding a bike. I'm just thinking about, getting around. What keeps you going?
Enough to still have my balance, and I enjoyed bike riding. And since I was retired, that was my major form of activity for exercise. So it was just a natural progression to go from a regular bike to an e-bike.
Yeah,
because it's more fun. I could go further, see more. I ride along the Potomac towards Mount Vernon, very pretty area, and so it was very attractive to do that. And when I was so enthused, I told David about it, and he told a friend of his, and they got to talking. And since he was in between jobs, I suggested maybe you should look into something.
Well, we're going to go into that in a second, but I got to just share quickly. We had another, I think it's anybody at 90 over, I think they're called a nonagenarian. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly here, but anybody 90 plus, and there are more and more of us every year as we all live longer here, and it's the future that's ahead of us here. We had another well-known nonagenarian, William Shatner, on the show just recently, and he said, it's a no-brainer. I can keep riding. Well, I loved going out and being active. We rode motorcycles, rode bikes and stuff, but at some point it's hard. It's what motivated Don to start this company. I like going down the hill. It was harder and harder coming up the hill. And so it allows you to get out and keep going. And that enthusiasm you passed on to your son, who I'm told had been in the restaurant business for a long time. You're like, I don't know if you want to say what chain, but you're like a regional manager for some chain or something, I think, running different stores.
Yeah, I was regional director of operations for a large franchisee of the Northeast.
So David Bondareff, your dad walks in at 90 and you said, "What the heck are you going on a bike for, Dad? You don't, that's dangerous. Don't be riding a bike." Or did you just know this is your dad and this is what he does?
A little of both, actually. This is Dad, and we know this is what he does, but we were also all very concerned about him riding an e-bike because, they go faster and he's out more on it. So it's more opportunity, but it's been a wonderful thing.
So, all right, good for Dad. He's still going. He can keep going. Why did you decide to ride along? Chain had been downsized or things had shifted or something here in this long career you'd had in the restaurant franchise business. You're looking for another opportunity. Were you thinking electric bikes?
No, not at all, actually. I was researching various franchises, systems, things of that nature.
Yeah, that's what you came out of. You understood that world. Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. But I did not foresee where I'm at today by any means. It was by chance almost, where the timing was right with the downsizing of the company I was with, the pandemic, and the opportunities that e-biking offers, not just as business opportunities, but the joy I saw my father having. We were riding bikes together, and he was riding bikes with his grandchildren.
Yeah.
And at 90 plus years old, that's to be able to
amazing.
take the afternoon.
That's a blessing.
Go for a ride, and then not take a nap afterwards.
So at some point you thought, this isn't just good for him. This might be good for me. Had you ridden any e-bikes? Were you a bike rider at all?
No, I've ridden bikes and I wouldn't say I was a cyclist. Rode a bike occasionally, recreationally, but hadn't in many years, probably more than 20 years before I started riding an acoustic bike with Dad after he bought his electric bike. And then in order to keep up with him, I had to buy an e-bike. So I bought a Pedego as well. And,
I love the phrase, until I saw this, I never thought of a bike. There's acoustic bikes and e-bikes. We're trying to differentiate the two. One is like an acoustic guitar. The other one's plugged in. Is that the way you describe a traditional bike versus an e-bike?
Yeah, exactly. There's no electrics. There's no electronics. It's not plugged in.
It's just an acoustic. I like that term here. All right, so now you're thinking, maybe there's an opportunity. If they can get my dad to ride into his 90s here and we're having so much fun, hey, what would it be like to sell these things? But you had never, as much as you had run and overseas national franchising throughout, I guess, overseeing lots of restaurants. It says here 55 plus restaurants here. You yourself hadn't been an entrepreneur. You hadn't put up your own money and rented your own store ever, had you?
No, I had never dipped my own toes into it.
So was it frightening or was it exciting? And was it a worry that this isn't a franchise? This is a license. It's a little different breed of cat here. A little less command and control, but a little more opportunity perhaps. How did you feel about all that?
I was actually happy that it's not a franchise system.
Okay.
I've been part of a franchise system for so long that while I was researching some, it wasn't a franchise system. It wasn't exactly what I was seeking. And the model that Pedego offers was actually much more attractive.
And what was it attractive about? Was it obviously you saw an attraction to the industry? Hey, my own dad's riding this thing. Look how excited he is. What's the opportunity here? I'm riding along with him and having fun and looking at everybody's smiles. That's what you said, joy. I keep hearing joy and smile all the time here as a motivator. But what else was attractive about it? Is this a growing industry? Is this lack of other places out there? Or is there something particular about this idea of a dedicated, not just an e-bike store, but one dedicated to one brand?
Yeah, it was both the fact that the warranty that Pedego stands behind the bikes and having the brick and mortar stores, and the e-bike future is just on the verge of really taking off here in the States. So I saw it as an opportunity to do, one, provide for myself and my family, but also provide a service to people that, like my father, who are looking to stay active, continue being healthy and being mobile.
And maybe you're the first person we've had on the show that really came from a service, a hospitality background. So you're into their serving customers and seeing people leave with happy smiles. Some of these people, one guy was an airline pilot, one guy was an investment banker. Yeah, they did well and they enjoyed what they did, but they didn't put smiles on people's faces. That wasn't why they went to work. That wasn't what they looked for when they gave out loans at the bank or something. Talk about that.
Extremely service-oriented here, based on our backgrounds. My wife's background as well as in the hospitality industry. The service that I received as a customer from Pedego is what was also very attractive to me, because I know I can deliver that kind of exemplary service.
And yet we're living in a world, and you know it more than I do, COVID's shutting so many things down, particularly retail stores, restaurants in particular, hotels big time. Retail stores have been in decline for a while as we buy everything online and Amazon. I can buy an e-bike online. Why? What is it about having a brick and mortar store? Is it the connection to the community or the promise that we'll be there tomorrow to take care of it, or more? I don't know. You tell me.
All of it. All of that.
Well, it's nice and convenient to be able to buy online. I'm still of the school where I like to touch and feel. And I think that having the brick and mortar stores where you can try before you buy.
I think it's a key. I don't know where I can try before I buy anything. Let's bring your wife in. We've talked about her here. She had the same kind of background, plus she was also, I'm told, a certified nurse's assistant. So you were taking care of people affected by COVID, and before that, you worked in the retail, in the hospitality industry and service and management. You had the entrepreneurial background these two didn't have. You had been a part owner in some restaurants, right, Brenda?
Yes. Back in my 20s, owned 2 restaurants, very small restaurants, breakfast and lunch restaurants. So I kind of knew, what we're getting into, how scary it would be, and wondering, are customers going to walk through the door? Or
Well, and when they walk through the door, the other thing that surprises me is the connection you all seem to have with these customers. There are lots of retail stores. There's a grocery store. There's a hardware store. I don't know that the customers come back and know everybody's name and glad you came, like the cheers mentality in restaurants. And restaurant business, that's big. I want you to feel that this is part of the family and this is your place and your seat. Most retail stores, it's just transactional. I'm glad you're here and we'll take care of you, but I don't expect to see you again. Do you end up seeing a lot of these customers over and over, not just to service the product once in a while, but to ride along with them or just to hang out with them? I find that totally fascinating, if that's true in your case, too.
Oh, yeah. They actually come by and say hi. We have a few customers that do that on a regular basis. And when I do test rides with people, I always tell them, just come back and we'll do test rides. It's so much fun. And then at the farmer's market, we have people, when I advertise on Facebook, we're at the farmer's market, we have our customers come by on their bikes and, just stop by and say hi and talk to our customers.
So, Erwin, you were a successful pediatric doctor in Alexandria, Virginia, this upscale suburb of Washington, D.C. Did all your clientele just stop in just to say, hi, Doc, how you doing?
No, but having been there for so many years, I got to see sometimes in the office a grandmother, a mother, and a child, all of whom I took care of.
Yeah, right.
So 3 generations. And that's pretty nice. And I get Christmas cards from many, many patients over the years.
So is this that kind of business, David? Do you anticipate 50 years from now, you're going to see 3 generations of people riding your bikes here and bringing their kids and their grandkids along to get their first bikes? Is that what we're dealing with here? Are you giving birth to a whole new lifestyle like your dad did there?
I hadn't thought of it that way, but quite possibly, yeah. The e-bike is the bike of the future. Yeah, I could see that.
And is it just for older people or is it for everybody? I got to be honest. I thought it was for William Shatner, a man of a certain age. Or me, a person of a certain age. Get a little hard to ride. I need a little help. That's part of it. Lets me keep riding where I would have quit and to go farther than I had gone. But my neighborhood, I live in suburbia down here in Orange County. Oh, my goodness. Every kid's got to have an e-bike now. It's like the stat. So young and old. I don't know if there's any. I guess there's still some in the middle that want the strenuous of the 100-mile ride, and they're serious bikers and all that. I get that. You can still ride these things if you want. You can turn the motor off. There's nothing to say you got to do it. But I just didn't expect kids to embrace it the same way that us older folks are embracing it here. What do you think about that, Brenda? Is it a kid-friendly thing, too, as well as everybody? Is it a family thing?
Oh, I think so. And actually, since they came out with the Element, the little fat tire bike, back in 2020, the young kids love that. We actually have a customer that bought the larger trail tracker, and he came back and bought his son, a 14-year-old, the Element, so they can ride together. And of course, his friends have e-bikes,
Right. Shatner says his whole family goes for a ride. I don't know how many kids he's got and grandkids, but he says the whole group comes to like 14 or 15 of them, and they ride like a pack. That's what else is unusual. When I go buy a thing at a store, even an exercise bike or something, it's a solo thing. I do it at home alone. When I rode bikes in the past, I did it as exercise alone. It wasn't a herd. Is this now a tribal thing? Is this a pack of people that do this, David? What do you think? What is this different than?
Some people are buying them for their kids to ride to school instead of a car.
Yeah.
And in this particular demographics, that's very possible. So that's another use of it. And we have young families who are putting car seats on the back of them. We have a model called the Latch, and they put children on the back, and they have, of course, little trailers for the kids and dogs.
Dogs, you got to bring your dog along.
All categories of age, from mid-teenage to as far as you want to go.
Erwin, you keep saying we. Like you're part of this thing. You're not part of this deal. You're retired. You're done.
I don't know how useful I am, but I do come and spend a lot of time here selling bikes.
He's a big part of it.
I started out in the grocery business. My father had a grocery store.
Really? Okay.
When I was growing up, and I was expected to be there to not only clean and stock, but to sell and to help customers. And in those days, it was all service. There was no self-service grocery stores.
No, that's right. Yeah.
I learned at a very early age how to deal with customers.
I'm dating myself, but I remember watching Dobie Gillis, and his father had a little grocery store, and they were all a little independent, and you stocked everything on the shelves and selected it and cleaned it and everything. You were a little merchant, and you got to know the neighborhood, what they liked, what kind of peas and cornflakes and stuff, and you had to get this selection and assemble it yourself. You weren't part of a chain that just the truck pulled up and delivered it to you here. So Brenda, he comes home and says, Dad's doing this crazy e-bike thing. Oh, there he goes again here. I'm thinking, am I crazy? I'm thinking we should ride along. What did you say? Honey, I've been there. The last thing we're going to do is put our money in the middle of COVID into a retail store selling e-bikes. Come on, honey.
I did think that at first. But then once I actually got on the Pedego, I was like, okay, I'm in. I'm totally in.
Is that it? Is that what closes the deal? Because you're about the 12th dealer that's come on and said, I wasn't sure until I got on. And one of them even said, have you been on one? Because I said, why did you do this? And they're like, well, if you've been on one, then you know. Is it that simple?
Yeah, because it's all about fun, and we're selling fun. And actually, the first time I got on one of those bikes, a Pedego, all the memories when I was a kid all came flushing back. It was just, and I was like, oh my God, this is so much fun.
Can I put a playing card on the wheel and with a clothespin and make it click and clack like I used to do?
Yeah, I told David we need to do that on our rentals.
Yeah, let's put some little, so you hear that click. I don't know what was so cool about that, but we customize it. Do they customize these bikes? Do they make them their own? Do they give them a name? Do they custom paint them? I don't know. What dealers said, yeah, I'm honest to God, people want to custom paint them and do things and stuff. Any of that going on, or are they just taking it off the...
People definitely want to personalize their bikes. They name them. They mix and match different color fenders. They ask for custom paint schemes as well.
What is it about this, Erwin, that makes people so personally passionate and connected? Is it just that? Am I just missing the obvious? It's fun? Or is this somehow getting people out and getting social at a time when nobody's social, everybody's stuck at home? Is this somehow getting us back out on the road again here?
Oh, I think that COVID was a big stimulus. People were not going on faraway vacations. So they looked around and, there's a few bikes in our garage. We haven't used them in years. So then they got on those, and then they see electric bikes going around.
Yeah.
And Brenda's right. The bikes really sell themselves. Once you get on them, it's such fun. They feel so comfortable, and you've got that extra little push if you need it.
Right.
It's a new experience. They've conquered something different.
Yeah.
And yet it's a familiar thing because they all rode bikes as children. And we have people commuting. We're in an area where you can commute to the government in Washington from nearby Maryland and Virginia within 30 minutes.
Yeah, right.
So more and more people are buying commuters. There's one of the models is called a city commuter, and it's a really fascinating bike, and people love it. And so we're trying to convert people. The cities are also cooperating by making more bike lanes.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And bike-friendly roads. So in the future, we're going to see more people on bikes, like if you go to Europe and Holland and so forth. They've been doing it for years.
We had a dealer on. I forgot his name now here. I think he's from. I'll blow it if I come up with where he's from. And he had been a colonel in the Air Force and stationed at the American Embassy in London, some high-level job. And it was hard getting through London traffic. So he picked up an e-bike almost by accident, and then started having so much fun wandering the streets. And so it was, and everybody, it was so unique. When he retired from the Air Force, he said, I'm going to sell e-bikes. People thought he was crazy. He's like a chief procurement officer or something. And you're going to sell e-bikes? You've never even had a little store. And he came back to, I think it was Charleston or someplace like that. Someplace in, it was Myrtle Beach. That was it, Myrtle Beach, where he came back to. And I hear that over and over again. And we've had a couple dealers that said, I didn't know that I was going to do this. But when I opened an e-bike store, a lot of them, this is their second career, like it is for you guys here, they gave up a car. Any thought of that? I'm a car person. Oh, my God, to give up one of my cars ever? Does a bike replace a car at some point in time here?
Yeah, we're actually looking to move closer to the shop just so we can do that.
Look at that, see?
One vehicle, have one for the business, and then commute.
So what started as fun, what started as a way to get out again and ride and a social activity might actually be the transportation alternative of the future. One car and one e-bike, or a couple of e-bikes. What do you think, Erwin? Are we on to the future here?
I think so. We really could be. And another thing, too, if you live in an area like we do, there are a lot of interesting places to visit.
Yeah.
Tours.
Oh, wow.
And taking a car and trying to find places to park and see various things. You can see twice as many museums if you ride down to the mall in Washington on an e-bike than with a car. And stop off at a restaurant and have a beautiful day. And
make a day of it, right. And you really see things. What do you think, Brenda? When you're on a bike, you somehow see the world. That's what a couple of people have said. This guy in London said, I saw London in a way I'd never thought I would. I felt the air. I smelled the neighborhood and the flowers or the shops or the food or whatever going by. When I'm in a car, the window's up, I'm in my bubble, I'm just racing through all this. I'm not aware of it. What do you think, Brenda? Is it more engaging?
Absolutely. It actually brought another memory back to me. When David and I used to have a motorcycle, and when you ride on a motorcycle, you get that same feeling. You smell, the pine trees or the flowers, or during the cicadas.
You're talking to a guy who grew up on Easy Rider, and like people my age, all my buddies have Harleys. We're all going to be wild and born to be wild again here, and we get out and free, baby. Yeah, and so it has some of that.
You just enjoy it much more. You don't come back all sweaty and tired and exhausted, and like David said, you need a nap. No, you don't. You don't need a nap after that.
Well, and you're engaged in the world again. You're not removed from it. You're not in a bubble. You're not in a subway. You're not in a car. Yeah.
Riding an e-bike or a bike in general, it exhilarates the senses, like you said, all the smells.
Yeah. In a way I never would have thought of. Yeah, I didn't. But here's what I'm hearing. This is creating new memories as your father into his 90s. I won't even ask how far into his 90s he is. He looks better than I do. He's sharp, alert, and everything else here. It's creating new memories as you get out in the world and get with others. And I never thought of this, sparking all those old memories, like Brenda said, when you were a kid riding a bike here. It's kind of new memories and old memories coming back together again here. Well, I will remember this show because you guys, if nothing else, Erwin, here's the last question, Erwin. How long? You're going to ride into 100? You're going to come back when you hit 100 and you're still riding a bike?
Well, I don't know. I'm 91 and a half.
91 and a half, okay.
I want to keep a little ahead of William Shatner.
He just turned 90. He's only 90.
Yeah.
He just had his hip replaced so that he can continue riding the bike.
There you go.
And Erwin said, I need to go to space like Shatner. He
why
said
not?
That the other day, too. I'm like, why not?
Why not? You're showing that there's a whole new definition of getting older coming up, and it's guys like Shatner and
closer to a younger group of people. I don't want to be around people pushing walkers. I want to be around people riding e-bikes.
Yeah, pushing pedals and stuff.
Yep.
Well, I have no doubt that you're going to do it here. I'll leave you with one last story. Another guy, I think he was in New Jersey. I forgot. I'm sorry. You all kind of have these similar wild, amazing stories. And he talked about similarly too. He bought an e-bike store because his father, who was, I don't think he was in his 90s, but he was older, went out and started extolling the virtue of this. And he brought one home, like his dad wanted to do this. He brought one home, and his dad unfortunately was sick at the time. And he said, here, Dad, just try this right around the block. He came back like 2 hours later. He thought, oh, my God, I killed my dad. He fell off the bike. He hit something. I got to call the police. And he comes back with this big smile on his face. And he says, that's the most fun I've ever had. And he was like, man, I think he still has a picture of his dad in the store because his father has since passed on. But, just that notion of your dad, making your dad happy again, watching your dad get out there in the world again, and that inspiring you to do the same. If I can do well at this. I can do good. I can do well by doing good. Is that what the phrase is? I can do well by myself by doing good for others here. I think that's a big part of this.
Yeah.
It is part of that service mentality like you guys had in the hospitality industry here, and getting regular, continuous customers over and over and over again, not just selling them one thing and saying, next, who's next? Mm-hmm. It's a different way. Well, all right, David, what's your takeaway? How long you been doing this? You're at Pedego Bethesda, right? That's how people can find you?
Pedego Bethesda in Bethesda, Maryland. We opened up in May of 2021.
Right, so in the middle of the pandemic, you opened a retail store, and it's blossoming, and people are riding along, and you see even more ahead here. Where do you think this goes? Is this your calling for the rest of your life here? Is this more stores in the offing? I don't know. Where does it go, you think?
I think so. I'd like to see us grow. I get a tremendous amount of enjoyment from it so far. While it's running a shop and I'm here every day, it's really not hasn't seemed like work at all.
Yeah, right. Well, you got to get a store for Erwin. When he hits 99, he's got to get his own store here. Yeah. I think that's in the offing here. Yeah, we'll have his own Gray Panther Club here, and they'll go out riding together here or something. Do you ride with any other nonagenarians, or you don't ride with anybody else, Erwin, or is it just?
No, I haven't found one. That I live in a high rise in Alexandria, and some of the people in the 60, 70 range have bikes and ride them. And as I see them going in and out of the building with my bike, I try to convince them to try an electric bike.
Yeah.
So maybe I will convince someone someday in the future to take a ride with me.
Well, why not? Let's take I'm going to go back to the 60s. Let's take a ride on the wild side here. Born to be wild. I think that's part of the appeal of all this thing. It's a very appealing story, and I thank you guys for letting us ride along and share it with us today here. How do they reach your store again here? Just give us one more time. Pedego Bethesda?
Pedego Bethesda.
And where are you located? For those listening near enough to go see you, where in Bethesda are you here?
We're located at the Shops of Bethesda at 4926 Hampton Lane. We're next to the Montgomery County Liquor and Wine Store.
Of course. Everybody knows where that is.
Right?
All right. Well, thanks for riding along. I enjoyed it, and I hope you'll come back when your dad hits some more milestones. I want to see like 95, 99, 100. We got to have a big celebration when he's got to get out on that bike at 100 here.
As do we.
As do we.
Yes.
Absolutely. I have no doubt we're all going to be there. All right. Thanks for joining us here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
you.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. The one reason you got to tune in each and every time here as we continue to ride along on the e-bike revolution. It's the Pedego Podcast, brought to you each week by the good folks at Pedego Electric Bikes. Tune in and ride along as we talk with the entrepreneurs behind this movement and the love stories of those just riding along. Right here in Orange County's only community radio station, OCTalkRadio.net.